Hi everybody, welcome to another Spectrum Economics video. Today I'm going to start on a new series, and this series is what I'm going to call Economics is Everywhere. So I'm going to have a number of videos, I've also got a number of posts as well that I put on Steemit relating to what I call Economics is Everywhere. And this is basically looking at our lives and the stuff that we do in our lives, that actually we make decisions possibly based on economics, or economics can somehow help explain the decisions that we've actually made. And literally economics is actually everywhere. And this first is introduction video. I'm just going to look at a day, a work day in a person's lives and the possible decisions that they may make in that life. So, okay, let's start off, for example, when you wake up in the morning. If you go to work, you'll probably hear the alarm clock ring, or whatever that sound is, more like bah, 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 bah. You might hit the snooze button or whatever, snooze for another 10 minutes or something like that. You've probably got some form of routine. So, okay, let's say you get out of bed, you maybe quickly hop in the shower, and get ready, get changed, put on your clothes and all that stuff. Or maybe you go for breakfast first, or along those lines. So all decisions you ought to make. But what's a simple decision you might be faced with? Like, for example, what do you eat for breakfast? It might be just part of your routine. You just go to the cupboard, grab a bowl of, grab a big packet of cereal, pour it out, splash on the milk, and you just down it just like that. Or if you've got a bit more time, you may think about what you want. Do you want the cereal, or maybe you want to cook something up? It's a bit more time. Maybe you just want to have a bit of toast. Do you want the toast, or do you want the cereal? Most of the time, I think people, if you're going to work, you're probably going to be fairly rushed. So you're going to be programmed to maybe go for what you're used to, or what's the most convenient. What can you prepare the quickest? Like cereal's very quick. You put it in a bowl, splash on milk. Toast is quick too. You get a bit of bread and you shove it in the toaster. Then you've got to butter it afterwards, so it might take a little bit longer, but and so what do you go with? Like, for example, maybe there isn't any cereal, so maybe you have to go with the toast. It's sort of a default thing. But it's just a way of thinking about stuff, and that's a very simple decision. It's the same with, you're going to hop in the shower before you eat, or you hop in the shower afterwards. This could all be part of your routine, but at some point in time you would have decided how you would have gone about doing that routine, and which is the most efficient way for you to do it. Like I said, it may not be on a daily basis. You may have thought about this before, or may have even become sort of a subconscious thing. Just whatever gets you from your bed to the door, and then maybe the shortest time or the most comfortable time, you might say. So what do we get from after that? You've actually got to get to the workplace. So how are you going to get there? Generally, that is already decided. You have a car, and it's easy to get to. You get in the car and you drive there. If there's a good bus service, maybe you hop on the bus. If there's no buses, there might be a train. Or you may want to take the train, or you may want to take the bus, to the train station, and then you get the train from there. Or maybe you want to hop on your bicycle, get to the train station and go in from there. And a lot of factors will depend on how easy it is to access this place of work. Like, for example, if you're in the city, it might be very difficult to get in there by car, so you may be more inclined to take a bus or train. If you're out of the city, you may be better off with the car. There could be other factors as well, like the cost of petrol has gone up. So this may not change how you travel to work straight off, but eventually you might realize, hey, it's actually cheaper to take the train, and if the train's convenient, there's more services, and maybe your place of work has got better access to train stations. You may actually do that. If you realize, hey, it's only going to take me 5 more minutes, but it's going to save me quite a bit of money, I'll take the train. Or it could be the other way around. Train fares are going up, and the road system's getting better, so you might go back to your car. But these are all decisions that you're probably going to make well in advance, but the everyday way of living, your everyday experiences will influence that. So, for example, if you're stuck in congestion every single day, those experiences will influence how you'll be behaving in the future. So what else do you get? So we talked about subconscious and conscious decisions. You constantly change your routines based on the information you get. Or you may be a subconscious thing that you just switch over. You have an automatic system of doing stuff. So what about when you get to work? So how does that work? So there's a lot of other things you could be doing at work. You've got your own routines at work. Let's say, for example, lunchtime. Did you bring your lunch with you? Or are you going to go out and eat out with friends? Often that might be decided before you go to work because you bring the lunch with you. It's also possible that it could be decided when you get to work. So if you have something like a sandwich, you could have the sandwich tomorrow, for example. Or if you've got a packet of noodles, even easier. You're going to throw them in the microwave, you could put it in there the next day. Or if you've got the sandwiches, or you've got something fresh, you might not want to necessarily go out. So there's a bit of determination beforehand. Or you could have arranged with colleagues and workmates prior, the day before or the week before, you're actually going out to eat and things like that. And also you've got to bear in mind, you've got to factor in eating out is generally more expensive than bringing your own food. But then you've got the advantage of eating out that you may be able to interact, these more social interactions with your colleagues, and the food might actually be of a higher quality than what you could bring in or you could make yourself. So a lot of factors at play there. How about after work? Some people just hop in the car or hop on the train and just go straight home. And that's generally what I was doing when I was in the city. I really didn't do an awful lot after work. But some people like to do things after work, and they may have a particular routine. Like Friday nights, they may want to go down to the pub and have a pint of beer, and that's something that they do on a regular basis, for example, or maybe it depends on what your work colleagues are doing. So it could be determined, like, you've got 3 or 4 people, your colleagues who want to go there, and you go and join them. Or maybe these particular colleagues don't really like them, so you say you've got to be somewhere else, and you're all making decisions all the time. Like I say, it could be decisions into the future, like future behaviour, like you might want to join them every Friday from that point onwards, or you might not, or it could be an on-the-spot decision. So how does that work? Or you could even be, other forms of entertainment. You could go, like, you could be meeting up with someone, go to the cinema, you could go on a date, all sorts of stuff. So lots of decisions around that, and that also affects then what you do when you get back home, and people there that might be waiting for you, and again, you've got to make plans around that. So what have we got to so far? So basically our daily activities, some of the decisions we're making on the spot, like for a work day, a typical work day, we're generally making decisions beforehand. Like we've already decided our routine when we get up, how we're going to get to work, whether we're eating in or bringing food with us or going out, and then what you do on the way home. And then there's stuff that influences future decisions all the time. Like, for example, the slow build up of congestion on the road, and eventually getting annoyed, then one day you say, no, I'm going to switch to a train, or I'm going to switch to bus, or no, the train service is no good anymore, I'm going to go back to the car, and stuff like that. So again, this is looking at various thought processes, but this links back to economics in a way. You could also look at psychology and stuff like that as well, but a lot of it's to do with behaviour economics. I'll talk about that as well. But a very typical concept we have in economics is utility. I mentioned utility quite a few of my other videos, but I'll cover this anyway and see how that relates back to what I've talked about. So in terms of utility, we call that the level of satisfaction that we obtain from a particular activity or from anything within our lives. For example, what do you get out of buying a pair of socks? Thicker socks, thinner socks, and stuff like that, and which you find more satisfying? Or do you find you get more utility, more satisfaction from going to the park or going to the cinema and things like that? So we generally try and get as much satisfaction out of life as we can given our resources. So take, for example, like in the breakfast situation, you get up and you have breakfast. Do you have toast or do you have cereal? So you may like the toast better, but you opt for the cereal because the cereal is quicker. And because you can get the cereal down quicker, it gives you a little bit more time to travel into work. And traveling to work with a little bit more time is less stress. So if you're traveling with stress and without stress. So with more stress, you use utility because stress is unpleasant. Whereas if you have less stress because you've eaten that cereal, even though you got less satisfaction from the cereal itself, you actually got more satisfaction, or should I say less dissatisfaction from traveling because you are less stressed out. How does that look? All right, next concept we'll look at is evaluation or analysis. So when we make decisions, there is a certain level of analysis and evaluation going on, like I mentioned, whether it's conscious or subconscious. Like, for example, going to work, you may have decided you're going to always take the car, but as congestion keeps building up, we have this sort of subconscious evaluation in our mind of whether can we put up with this anymore. And it comes to a point where we say, no, we're going to make the switch, for example. So there's form of analysis in that evaluation. It's not the technical type we talk about in terms of cost-benefit analysis, but it isn't too far off it because we're working out in terms of what we're willing to tolerate, and we're somewhat assigning a value to that in the sense that we are willing to move to another form of transport if so be it. And the last one I want to talk about, I mentioned it briefly earlier on, and that is behaviour economics. So how do we behave? And that's something that's growing very much in economics, is the study of people's behaviour. Why do we do the things we do? Why do we opt for eating out even though it costs more money when we could actually bring in our own food? And our own food may in fact taste better. For example, you know, you could have some food that's been cooked that's really nice. There's things that play behind that, and there may be certain social interactions that you'd miss out on by not eating out or going with certain people. Or you may just want to get out of the office, for example. So you get stuck in office for 8-9 hours in a day, and you want to break that up, so you've got 2 lots of 4 hours either side of lunch and things like that. And that's what I used to like. That's one of the reasons why I used to eat out when I worked in the city. It wasn't so much for the food, it's just to kind of get out of the office, you know. I could have taken my own lunch out, but I felt if I'm going out, I might as well experience the lunch out as well. Although I did bring my food on occasions, though it wasn't that often, to be honest with you. But it saves a lot of money by bringing the food in, so I can see that. But I was still behaving in such a way I was actually still spending more. And also there were certain social interactions with going out, though. So yeah, so it's behaviour economics. And again, it's, like I mentioned, after work as well, that comes into play too. Whether you want those additional social interactions and how much you value them. Again, that goes back to the concept of utility. And why do people do the things they do, even if it seems quite irrational? If people even do things that they don't enjoy, simply because they think they're going to be worse off by not doing it. Like being with someone and spending time with someone you don't particularly like, but you kind of do it anyway as a form of social acceptance. And without that social acceptance, you think you may actually be worse off, even if you're not. Right, so this takes us to the end of our first video on Economics is Everywhere. It's kept it fairly light. I've got a number of other fairly serious videos that have come out fairly recently, like my dark side of economics stuff and also the democracy stuff and things like that. So this is a little bit more light-hearted, and also my vegan economics stuff can get a little bit serious too. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to have a number of other videos, Economics Everywhere, looking at things like a trip to the supermarket, working out in the gym and stuff like that. So if you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you want to see more videos, remember to hit the subscribe button. And also before I go, I just want to tell you quickly about my Steemit blog and my Steemit posts. So now I've got something known as Steemit. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. Steem is a cryptocurrency, and Steemit is a sort of social media, I guess you'd call it that. It's an alternative to Facebook, where you can go there and post blogs and post videos and photos and all that sort of stuff. And what I've got on there is Spectrum Economics again, and it's at Spectrum Econs. So if you go there, you'll be able to find me. And I've got quite a few of my YouTube videos on there as well, and they've got DTube, so I've got videos there too, and I've got write-ups and a little bit more detail about some of these videos and some of the concepts I'm talking about, as well as posts that may not necessarily have videos to them either. So it's definitely worth checking out, going to Steemit, and I'll have that in the description below my account and where you can find me on Steemit. Anyway, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll be seeing you again soon.